الأجل يوسف زهرة، الأجل يوسف زهرة، الأجل يوسف زهرة.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد، سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، صاحب العصر والزمان، خليفة الرحمن، إمام الإنس والجان، ولعن الله وعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله ولرسوله إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. صلوات على محمد وعلى محمد. As I mentioned, it is indeed an honor and a privilege for me to spend these ayam of Arba'in with all of you in this beautiful community, this beautiful building of Zainabiyya here in Detroit. I apologize for those of you who came last night and I wasn't here. That was not my fault, I promise you. The flight was delayed by 2 hours and I got here, I believe, just after 9:30. However, like was announced, I'm with you now at least for 9 nights, inshallah, and we do have a topic in mind, which of course we will express to you very shortly. In understanding these beautiful days of Arba'in, where once again the Azadari of Aba Abdullah is once again revived, and the masajids are once again full. And now the biggest gathering that this world will ever see has now begun to take form in Karbala, where last year 20 million people gathered around the haram of Aba Abdullah. And this year the figures that we have are close to 25 million. It grows every single year. It continues to be the biggest gathering that's not covered in the media all year round. The most peaceful gathering there is. And it's all based on love for one man. Love for his mission. Love for his ideology and love for what he sacrificed. And it continues to amaze me how generation after generation things might change, customs might change, our geographical location might change. Our cultures may change. What we do, what we don't do may change. Even the libas that we wear might change. But the one thing that has been consistent throughout the generations upon generations has been the love for Aba Abdullah al-Husayn. And that love has kept us afloat. That love is our bloodline. This love is our identity. This love is our inhale, it's our exhale. We are nothing without it, and we are everything with it. So as long as we continue to commemorate this beautiful sacrifice, we will continue to stay afloat, and one day, inshallah, we will be victorious. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ is the promise of the Quran, and that of course applies to us, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Before we get into the crux of the discussion, if I can ask all of you to please come a little bit together, if you don't mind, a little bit in the center, especially my beautiful youth. You see, for every shahadat, for every martyr, I only have half an hour, so please stay with me, inshallah. For every shahadat, there are two components. One is the Shahid, and one is the Shahid. One is the martyr, the one who has actually sacrificed his life. And one is the witness, the one who witnesses this martyrdom. One is a Shaheed who lives by a certain ideology, and based on that ideology, he sacrifices whatever he can on the path of that ideology. And the biggest and most closest and most valuable thing to him that he sacrifices is his own body, his own existence. He has one responsibility. The Shahid and the witness to that martyrdom has another responsibility. Without understanding first the Shaheed's philosophy, we won't understand the Shahid's responsibility. Unless we understand on what path the Shaheed is walking on, what the Shahid has to do to uphold the Shaheed's ideology will also be unknown as well. The Shaheed and the Shahid, the martyr and the witness, the one who gives his life and the one who witnesses the giving of that life as well. They equally have a beautiful role to play in the furthering of the ideology for which that Shaheed gave his life for. In this commemoration, Imam Hussein is a Shaheed, of course. He's Sayyid al-Shuhada. And we are the witnesses. We are the one who are fully aware of what happened on the day of Ashura. We are the ones who witness it with our hearts, with our eyes. We've read about it, we've heard about it, we've been told about it. Those who have gone to Karbala, you felt it. And so while Imam Hussein has his path to follow as a Shaheed, we have our responsibility as the witnesses of that Shaheed as well. In this day and age, the last thing that we need to do is to limit Imam Hussein's shahadat to one day, someday, on a hot desert sand on the 61st of Hijri. An insult to his shahadat, Imam Hussein's shahadat, is to keep it a historic, annual, traditional custom that we do every single year. He did not, nor would he ever, do anything for that particular moment. You see, look, it's very simple. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. When I'm flying in from Toronto to Detroit on that 1-hour flight of mine last night, when they started to descend into Detroit, my view of Detroit from the sky is an airplane window size. Everything I see in those chunks of space. Sometimes I'll see, of course, a big Ford sign. Sometimes I'll see where the Tigers play. Sometimes I'll see where the Pistons lose. Where they play. Sorry. Apologize. But sometimes I'll see them in window by window by window. The pilot, however, sees the city in one shot. Recognizes it in one glance. The way we live our life sometimes is window size by window size by window size. My youth especially, follow me for a second. We live in blocks, and everything in that block consumes us. It controls us, it overtakes us. We can't get through it. We can't see beyond it. Whether it's, let's say, right now, if we're struggling with our job, that's our block. If we have been blessed with a child, that's our block. If we lost a father, a mother, a loved one, that's our block. If I'm struggling with my spirituality, that's my block. If I have depression, anxiety, stress, God forbid suicidal thoughts, that's my block. And we live block by block by block. Once we conquer one block, the second block enters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at us through entirety, not through block by block by block. And He says to us that if only you're able to get through block number 1, you'll know that what you gain from block number 1, you'll use in block number 5. But we don't have enough basirat or insight to see that sometimes. So we become down, depressed. We kill ourselves for one block. Allah says, wait, get through the block. But don't kill yourself for one block. You still have 5 or 6 or 7 blocks waiting for you. And your ascension, your mi'raj, your perfection won't be in this one block. it'll be 5 blocks from now. If you're able to conquer this 1 block, you'll see the result of that, like I said, 5 blocks from now. We don't and we can't live block by block by block. We have to live in entirety. We have to sometimes climb to the roof, look at our life in one shot. See where we were, where we are now, where we're headed. Look, a very simple example for my sisters, mashallah. You go to the mall to go shopping, and if your husband and you're punished, you have to go with your wife to go shopping, to go to the mall. On a Saturday too. On Black Friday. Anyways. You went to the mall, and if you're like me, if you go buy shoes, you park at the closest exit to the shoe store, you get the shoes, and you walk right back out that exit. You don't play around the other parts of the mall at all. Our sisters, mashallah, will choose the exit furthest away from the store they want to go to, and they'll walk the entire mall knowing full well the store they want to go to is on the other side of the mall. And they'll take us, mashallah, with them. And when we enter the mall, we're looking for a map. And in that map, we're looking for a dot. And that dot says what? You are here. Dot says you are here. Once you know where you are, you'll know where to go. For example, if you're on the lower level and the store you want is on the upper level, you go to the upper level. And vice versa. Without knowing where you are, you won't know where you need to go to. Sometimes our life is no different. From the rooftop view, we will see a dot sometimes. That will say, look, you are here. This is where you need to go to. But block by block by block, that dot won't be visible to us. We're too consumed with that block. Imam Hussein's vision, Imam Hussein's shahadat, Imam Hussein's entire mission was not block by block by block. He saw his entire mission in one glance, in entirety. He went to the roof of his mission and saw everything. From when he left Medina 20th Rajab to the Shahada of a 6-month-old to the suffer of the Zindan of Sham. Everything he saw in one glance. And he realized that part of the mission is for my blood to be shed on the plains of Karbala. Otherwise, if you were to live in that entirety, in that box of the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein is a human being, would kill himself. He destroyed. There's no way that he would be able to endure that much punishment and that much suffering if 2 things didn't happen. Number 1, he didn't live his life in entirety, and number 2, his complete trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If that trust is not there, the sacrifice to that monumental level is also not there. It's not there. If we don't understand that, then us as the witness of that great Azim Shahadat, we will lose in our responsibility, our attachment to Aba Abdullah. Part of it is commemoration. These majalis, this Farsh Azah, like I said before, is everything to us. And let me also make one point here while I'm here, in brackets. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. To my youth out there who believe that the majlis is only the speech, which is 40 minutes long. They'll come during the khutbah, they'll leave during masajid. A complete mukammil majlis is from the bismillah of the Quran to the ziyarat of the ziyarat. I ask you, please, especially my youth, do not underestimate the power of marfiyah, number 1, nor the value of the matam, number 2. If we can trace back, and my elders are here, you know far more than I do. If we can trace back one sunnat of the Ahlul Bayt from this entire program that we have in every corner of North America, the Marsiya and Salam that we recite here, where there are 3 people in front of that Marsiya Khan, goes back to the seerah of the Ahlul Bayt. They would have gatherings. They would ask the poet of the time to come, write a few poems, or a few verses, a few stanzas about my judge, about my grandfather, about Abdullah, and recite them. And when they didn't put enough grief into that poem, they would stop them and say, no, recite it as if the mayyat is right there in front of you. And they would cry. They would cry like that was the day of Ashura. This is the bunyad of the institution of Marcia. And our youth, we plan what time to leave the house when Marcia starts. Marcia starts 7:45, we'll leave at 8. And this Marcia is not even part of the program. Or what we'll do is we'll grab the English Malana and have a Q&A during Matam time. In a hall somewhere down the road. Or up on the third level. I ask you, please, give the masjid its due respect. From beginning until end. Matam. If today is an introductory speech, you'll forgive me. Tomorrow, inshallah, we'll get to our true matam. We're just trying to set the grounds here for all of you. Matam is a form of ibadat. It is the grief of Aba Abdullah. 33 years, his son, Imam Sajjad, alayhi salatu wassalam, if we could say he did anything for this commemoration, he ensured that the emotional aspect of this commemoration never died. For 33 years, this man made sure that his father was not forgotten. Even his last few moments of his death, when he's leaving this world, he would ask his children, put me on the khak. He'd be on a takh, lying down on the bed. He'd beg his children, put me on the ground. They said, Baba, it's important that you're on the bed resting. Put me on the ground. They would put him on a soft carpet. He said, no, remove the carpet and put me on the khak. When they asked him why put me on the khak, he said, my Baba was that one who was killed on the khak of Karbala. For 33 years, he would attend any function, a happy occasion, a sad occasion, but he would not let them begin until 2 minutes of dhikr of Hussein. He passed by an animal being dibhad in the streets. He would ask that individual, have you given this animal some water? He'd say, Mawla, we don't dibha our animals without giving them 2 drops of water. And then he would cry, say, my father was the one who was not given a drop of water before the dibha of Shimr. For 33 years this man cried tears of blood. For 33 years this man upheld the emotional aspect of Azadari. Azadari has a beautiful educational, intellectual aspect that you get from the member. But the emotional aspect, the softening of the heart, comes from the beating of your chest for Aba Abdullah. That is a form of ibadat. Ibadat is based on niyat. You have one man standing here in front, in 2 lines, doing 2-hand matam to the hardest of his possible power. You have one man in the back, simply has his hand on his chest. We don't have the right. We don't have the right to judge this individual in the front, nor that man in the back. Everyone's connection to Aba Abdullah is different. Everyone's ibadat on this Harsh Azah is different. Everyone's niyat is different. But this idea of you giving not Marcia is due respect, nor Matam is due respect, nor Ziyarat, nor Quran, I would, this Haqir's recommendation to all of my youth, is that please don't do that. Give it its due respect. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. We will spend the first 4 nights of our discussion, inshallah, talking about Imam Hussein's mission. How is it possible this man gave what he gave, did what he did, and still be at a complete level of taslim for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's not easy. It's not easy. We hear 10% of what happened on the day of Ashura. Our hearts break. You know, the maktab that we read on Surah Ashura, that sometimes in our Indo-Pak communities are 15-20 minutes long, that's enough for us to kill ourselves. In the Arab culture, they read an hour and a half of that maktab. They open the book from start to finish. And some of our elders actually believe that's wrong. It's too much masail. So can you imagine 20 minutes of a day is read to us and we say, bas, please, I don't want any more. But the man who went through that from morning until Asr Ashur, imagine what he went through. On top of that, to be at a complete level where he is radhi and marzi with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's a whole different level altogether. How does he get to that level? How do you get to that level? Where your 6-month-old is lying lifeless on your arms And the only thing on your lips is, Allah, I am radi with everything that you do with me. Not a shikwa, not a gila, not a complaint, not a moment where he would frown his eyebrows. Nothing. Complete submission. How do you get to that point? Discuss that in 4 days. The last 5 nights, inshallah, leading up to Arba'een, is when it comes to the Shahid part. The Shaheed is there, now the Shahid. You and I. What is our duty today? Is our duty simply commemoration today? Or is it something else? Do we have a Yazid of Waqt today? If so, who are they? What are they? What is our duty towards them? Is it simple commemoration or is there something else? Is there a reason why today the enemy has focused on 3 very crucial aspects of our ideology? Please listen very carefully, inshallah, then towards Messiah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. If you look at the ashab of Imam Hussein, we know for a while their maqam, their level is unlike any other ashab out there. We even have sometimes these ja'ali ahadith, these made up ahadith that compare sometimes Imam Hassan's mission to Imam Hussein's mission. I was in Atlanta a few days ago and I mentioned this as well. Let me mention it here as well, just to kind of remove any misconceptions. If an alim comes in the minbar, na'udhu billah, and he's a little bit calm, talks about things that are perhaps, not as revolutionary. He talks about, things that are calming to us. Things that talks about tolerance and acceptance. Then we call him a Hassani alim. I've heard this with my own ears. But if the alim is a big guy, right? Bangs the member a few times, yells and screams, waves his arms around, talks about inqilab, mentions the Islamic Republic, even says the K word. Then he is what? He is a Husayni alim. I just been told I can extend my majlis, alhamdulillah, for 45 to 60 minutes. I was ready to make up for last night's majlis and read a 2-hour majlis tonight. I don't think you're ready for that yet. You just got to know me. At least on the 7th or 8th night I can do that, but right now I won't see you tomorrow if I do that. So inshallah, stay with me. We'll go for another half an hour. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So yes, if he's in Qalabi, he is a what? Husayni alim. And that one, first one is a Hassani alim. Because Imam Hassan Ghafir was a very sust imam. Astaghfirullah, these are words that are being used. He was an individual who doesn't like confrontation. Someone who would resort to a peace treaty before he would go to war. But Imam Hussein is all about revolution, blood, life, giving your life, sacrifice, throw everything at the enemy. And I have heard even ahadith that are ja'li, that are made up, that even support this ridiculous claim. That when Imam Hassan was born, the Prophet of Allah came and brought a green cloth. You've heard this, I'm sure. A green cloth and tied it around Imam Hassan's forehead. Green means what? Peace, security, safety, no confrontation. Don't rock the boats. Keep it the way it is. But when Imam Hussein was born, the brightest red cloth was tied around his forehead. Meaning what? Inqilab, war, jihad, mujahideen fi sabilillah. And from there we actually believe that if Imam Hassan was mawjood on the day of Ashura, he would do sulh with Yazid, not the other way around. Please, my youth especially, I ask you, on your forums that you guys love to debate on, your social media forums, that you guys take on these Wahhabis and Takfiris and you debate them on Shia forum that and Shia chat this. I ask you, when you debate these ridiculous claims, first of all, understand who you're talking to. Secondly, understand these are made-up traditions. They don't even exist in our books. We have levels in prophethood. We have levels in Nabuwwat. We have, Sunday school students, we have Ulul Azam prophets that are, how many number? 5. Of course that. But in imamats, we don't have levels. We don't have levels. You cut and paste any alim in any era, he will do exactly what the imam before him did. You place Imam Hassan on the day of Ashura, he'll do exactly what his brother did. If there is a difference between Imam Hassan's mission and Imam Hussein's mission, it's not about green and red. It's not about Mu'awi and Yazid either. It's one factor, the Ashab. Nothing else. Ashab Hassani were one, Ashab Hussaini were another. Ashab Hussaini were those in the darkest of the night of Shab Ashur, blowing out the candle very famously. You know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. I will read you a list of the Shahada tomorrow. It's not like Imam Hussain said for a second, you will be saved tomorrow. Your life will be given to you tomorrow. No, he said flat out, you'll be killed tomorrow. Mutilated, trampled, beheaded, everything. There's no surprise in there of Ashura. But not one person left. Not one person left. In fact, they once again reclaimed that allegiance. That Abu Abdullah, 1,000 times they cut my body. I'll say labbaik to you. But the Ashab Hassani, in the brightest of the days, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the war, they left. They were gone. Why do I bring this up? I mention this wherever I go. The only comparable ashab that we have in our books to those of Abu Abdullah are those of Imam Zamana alayhi salatu wasalam. There is no comparison besides the fact that when he will come and his mission will come about, the ashab of Imam Hussein will mirror those of our Imam. Every single one of us across this room are working towards being a companion of our 12th Imam. There's no doubt about it. If you can't make the 313, that's fine. Because the Imam needs far more than 313 people for his mission. He needs thousands upon thousands. And why do I bring this up? It's because we cannot even begin the discussion on being the ashab of the Imam unless we understand the Imam himself. Okay? So the second half of our discussion will be on what our responsibility is today. There's no shortage of Yazidiyat today. We believe that Imam Hussein destroyed Yazidiyat. He didn't, I'm sorry. What did he do? He exposed Yazidiyat on the day of Ashura. He unmasked him. He opened him up for the world to see. What his blood could not do, his sister's words in the khutbah did in the Darbar of Yazid. And this combination of these two made this mission of Imam Hussein perfect. He gave everything he had. He didn't give bay'at to Yazid. Shaheed and Shahid. And that is our lecture series in the next 9 nights. The martyr and the witness. Understanding the martyr will understand what our responsibility is during this time where we are the witness of that shahada. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Let's begin our discussion tonight, shall we, inshallah? Let's begin. Understanding the political arena of Imam Hussein's mission, I ask my youth especially, open up history books. Read history. Especially during this pivotal time of the Ummah. Read up on the fact of how Imam Hussein existed and at what time the Ummah was at such a critical stage. The Ummah, as many of you know very, very quickly, history is dry, I know. But if we make parallels to history from then to today, you can see that there was a connection. When our first Imam is telling our second Imam to study those who lived before you, to repeat their successes, avoid their mistakes. Don't reinvent the wheel. Many people before have had the opportunity to be with the Imams. They've had the Iman, the love, the compassion. When it came time for them to show their loyalty, they were gone. I'll give you a few examples. These are scary things to think about. Abdullah ibn Abbas, a buzurg sahabi of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The first mufassir of the Quran that was a non-ma'soom. A direct shagird and student of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Day in and day out beside our Mawla. They say in Farsi, Zanu be zanu, sine be sine, they used to teach. Meaning what? That you sit across from your Ustad in a certain way, and he would pour out his heart into your heart. Nowadays we have the university style in the hawza. That's something different. The sunnati way of the hawza used to be that your ustad was your mentor. You sat like he sat, you dressed like he dressed, you ate what he ate, you said what he said. Back then it was no different. Abdullah ibn Abbas was Azim Shakhsiyat. He wasn't a ma'muli individual, no ordinary man. He was made governor by Amir al-Mu'mineen in the time of his Khilaf al-Zahiri. And it was his fortune that he was made a governor by Amir al-Mu'mineen, and it was also bad news for him that he was made a governor by Amir al-Mu'mineen. One thing Imam Ali could not tolerate was injustice in his government. He would scrutinize his governor so much so that they had to be almost perfect in the handling of their affairs. If he found out that there was a little bit of hanky-panky somewhere, there'll be some problems. And one thing you don't want to do is upset Amir al-Mu'mineen. Letter number 45 is in front of us. Uthman ibn Hunayf, the governor of Basra. This bichara went to a dabat held by the richest of the rich in his city. And that dabat, that function, that banquet that he was invited to, was simply a display of the host on how rich he was. He had a spread that went a mile long. Only invited the rich. And the governor of Amir al-Mu'mineen went to that banquet. Imam Ali found out, wrote a long letter to him, saying, not in my government. Read that letter if you can. Number 45 in the beginning at least. It's a long, lengthy letter. Abdullah ibn Abbas managed some affairs when it came to zakat and khums and money. A stern letter was written to him by Amir al-Mu'mineen. He became upset and left Amir al-Mu'mineen. He resurfaced when? Follow me here for a second, please. History. When Yazid was made successor by Muawiyah, he wrote a letter to the governor of Medina. I want you to gain bay'at from 4 people. Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Zubair, Abdullah ibn Umar, and Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam. These 4 individuals were the ones that, and the 4th one was the one that was most emphasized. When Imam Ali left Medina and went towards Mecca, these 3 individuals went to go see him. They had a meeting with Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein says to him, this is my intention, I'm going towards Kufa. The people have written 12,000 letters, 18,000 letters, 25,000 letters. I have to go meet their call. These 3 individuals, and led by Abdullah ibn Abbas, I just described to you who this person was. They are now dictating to Imam Hussein what to do. They say, if I were you, I would leave Kufa alone. I'd go back to Medina. I'd set up shop there. Do your durus, do your classes, do your ibadat, do your du'as. Leave your Shias there in Medina. Don't give bay'at, that's fine. But leave him alone in Kufa. Meaning what? Be the silent majority. Sit there, let him be the Khalifa. Let him do his thing in Sham. That's Amir Sham's area. That is the Bani Umayyah capital. Let him do what he wants to do. Don't rock the boat over there. Don't speak out. Don't rise up. Don't do anything. Come back to Medina and do your thing in your masjid. Don't give bay'at. At the same time, don't do anything else. Who is this? Abdullah ibn Abbas. At least when you are a direct student of somebody, you also pick up their ideology as well. You also pick up what to do when you are in path with a zalim. I'm pretty sure somewhere along the line, Imam Ali never taught him to be a silent majority individual. Where you know there is a lot of dhulm happening in the world, but you rising up against it. You speaking out against it. You attending protests for it. All these things are not part of the ideology. Imam Hussein's response to him, he says, Tuffin li hadha al-kalam. He said, I am absolutely against this suggestion of yours. So long as there is a heaven and an earth, I will never do this. Meaning what? I will never be part of the silent majority. Dhulm is happening, oppression is happening injustice is happening. But the thought of you going out and rising up and speaking out and attending protests, no. Just sit in your corner in Detroit and be happy. Send a few emails out. When people ask you, yeah, I don't like ISIS, I don't like Taliban, I don't like Al-Qaeda, fine. But actually going out on the streets of Detroit, that's not important. That's basically what they told the Imam to do. This was a direct shagird of Imam Ali. Scary? Scary. Number 2. Dahak ibn Abdullah Mashriqi. Dahak is a very famous story. My youth, Dahak. Who is Dahak? This one is even more scary. When this intention of Imam Hussein to go towards Kufa was made public, people would avoid Imam Hussein in the streets of Medina. Avoid eye contact. Some people would cross the road if they see him coming their way. Just out of fear that Imam Hussein might ask him to accompany me to Karbala. Imam Hussein has an encounter with Dahak ibn Abdullah al-Mashriqi. He says, Dahak, you heard about the story that I'm going to Kufa. You know the situation right now in Kufa? Yes, I know. Are you going to come and help me in my cause? He says, Imam, I'll come with you, but I want to strike a deal with you. Listen very carefully. He says, I'll accompany you to Karbala, no problem. But when I feel that you are outnumbered, when I feel that this war is a lost cause, when I feel like you're going to lose this battle, with all due respect to you, and with your permission, I'd like to leave. He says, Dahak, you are the one who fought in Siffin against my father beside Muawiyah. Your track record with Allah is not that great right now. I'm doing you a favor by righting that wrong inside of your track record. If you want to come with me, come with me. You're 1,000 conditions I accept, no problem. I don't force anybody. This Dahak individual rode from Medina to Karbala. Second of Muharram, he was with Imam Hussein. He helped pitch the tents up from Furat. Third Muharram, he was there. Fifth Muharram, he was there. Seventh Muharram, he was there. The 8th of Muharram, when he saw thousands upon thousands from Kufa flooding in to Karbala, he approached Imam Hussein and says, yeah, Imam, we had a deal, right? He says, yeah, we had a deal. He says, yeah, there's thousands on one side, there's barely 100 on your side. If it's okay with you, I'll cash in on my deal now. If it's okay with you, I'll go back to Medina. This man was 2 days away from the day of Ashura. He goes, Dahak, no problem. We had a deal? Absolutely. Go ahead. I don't have a horse for you to go back to, Dahak. He goes, don't worry. I've arranged for a horse down the road. It's there under a tent waiting for me. Meaning what? This man had 1 foot in Karbala and 1 foot out of Karbala. 2 days away from the day of Ashura. The day of Ashura is what day? My brothers and my sisters, I'm not at my side yet. Just 1 point. Those of you who have watched Mukhtar Nama, you know. There's a beautiful scene in that serial, where the son of Malik Ashtar Ibrahim and Mukhtar are at the banks of Furat. And Ibrahim narrates a incident from when him and Abu Fazl Abbas in 15, when they were teenagers, had. Abu Fazl was in his teens, they say, in his early 20s and 15. Ibrahim, the son of Malik Ashtar, who was the commander of the army of Amir al-Mu'mineen, was also mawjood and there in Siffin. He says, one day we were together in the same tent. In the middle of the night, Abbas woke up from a dream and he was startled, confused, upset. He says, I realized that Abu Fazl saw a very bad dream. I asked him, what did you see? He says, Ibrahim, I saw that I am in this barren land. My arms are cut off. And there is a bird who's eating away at my arms. I'm screaming at this bird. These are my arms, I need them. Leave my arms alone. Stop eating my arms, please. And the crow and the bird kept eating, kept chewing away at the arm. When I kept insisting to please give my arms back, the crow would stop, look at me, and say, you don't need arms anymore. You have these wings to fly towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, the day of Ashura is a day of Mi'raj towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The day of Ashura is the day you get wings, metaphorically, to fly towards Allah. That's the ultimate level of submission, when not only does Allah accept you, He gives you a wasila to come towards Him as well. And this Dahak was 2 days away from that glorious day of Ashura. He traveled with the Imam. Was there, he heard every khutbah of the Imam, from every stop from Medina to Karbala. Nothing had an effect on him. Nothing. He knew Imam Hussein, he knew Imam Hussein. Ma'rifat, love. I'm sure of it. These were people, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Dahak ibn Abdullah, these are people who lived with the Imam. So if we could spend 5 minutes with the Imam, if it was announced the Imam will come out of Gibbat for 5 minutes and you had the chance to meet him, greet him, everybody would rush towards that spot where he is for 5 minutes. If not for anything else, I just want to see my Imam. And these are people who lived with them, traveled with them, ate with them, talked with them, walked with them. When it came time for them to give their life, nothing. Look at the event of Ghadir. History, guys, history is very, very crucial. The event of Ghadir, Ya Rasulullah, we will give everything for you. I left my family for your cause. 3 years in Shibba Abu Talib for you, no problem. Went to war with an enemy, 3 times my size, no problem. For your mission, labbaik. Ghadir happens, so Ya Rasulullah, with all due respect, I give everything for you. You said jump, I said how high, no problem, everything. I sacrificed whatever I could. But this idea that you made your own damad the successor, you made your son-in-law the successor of this entire empire, this 33, 35-year-old child to run this entire government, I'm sorry, this is where I don't agree with you. Can you imagine? You're ready to give your life to this man, but that level of trust is not there. Where he says, what? This is my successor, and now you question that very man that you're ready to die for. It's very scary. The highest level of the huquq of the Ahlul Bayt on us is something called i'timad, trust of the Ahlul Bayt. That comes after ita'at, after mawaddat, after ma'rifat. All these levels have to be passed. Then you get to a point where you trust the Ahlul Bayt. No matter what they say, you're ready. Abu Zar asked someone, Abu Zar. Very famous story. Abu Zar, if you saw Amir al-Mu'mineen drink alcohol, what would you do? He says, Salman, I would lose it. So, Ya Ali, what are you doing? This is haram. Are you okay? Are you sick? Something wrong? I would question him. I would talk to him. I'd convince him to do otherwise. Abu Zar asked Salman, what would you do? I would drink alcohol as well. Level of trust with the Ahlul Bayt. The Khawarij movement, and so on. The Khawarij, very, very quickly. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. These are days of Safar al-Ba'in. There's a lot of Masa'ib and Musibah to say. So I just want to make sure I give that also due respect. One last word is towards Masa'ib. The Khawarij movement. All of us have heard of this Khariji movement. They broke off from Siffin. Individuals who gave bay'ah to Ali and Ghadir were the same ones who killed Imam Ali in the month of Ramadan. Their description, Allahu Akbar, their description in history. When the battle of Nahrawan happened, when not only did these people break away from Siffin, from Ali, but now they want to fight this man. Imam Ali sends Abdullah ibn Abbas, go talk to them. Perhaps we can avoid a war. Go see what they want. Is there any sort of chance of sulh? Anything. These are at one time part of our brothers. Abdullah ibn Abbas goes to them, talks to them, discusses them, comes back. When he comes back, the companions are eager to find out what they're like. Describe them to me. Not everybody was in Siffin. There were some people who were left behind. Listen to Abdullah's description of the Qatilin of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Very scary. He says their knees were worn out from sujood of Allah. Their forehead were actually zakhmi, scarred from the sajda of Allah. Their lips were dry from the dhikr of Allah. They were constantly reciting the Quran. Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he sent Abdullah, he says, go and talk to them just about the war. Don't talk anything about the deen, about the Quran or nothing. They will make circles around you. Don't. Who was this? Again, the direct Shahid of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The direct student of Amir al-Mu'mineen. There's no like, oh, Falan ibn Falan, Falan. No, this is him and Mullah Ali. Telling him, don't debate these guys. Don't do that. Come back. This is how they describe the Khawarij. People who are responsible for the killing of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Why do I say this? Because our fitna, our test is here already. If not, it's coming. If the test that we have in the East, for those in Iraq, for those in Palestine, for those in Pakistan, for those in Syria, for those in Bahrain right now, for those in Burma right now, their test is something else. Our test here is something else. Their mission is one, our mission is another. I've always said this. There are three missions, very quickly. Yazidi mission, Husseini mission, Zainabi mission. The Yazidi mission is a mission of oppression, injustice, and boom. There's plenty of that happening right now, unfortunately. The Husseini mission is what? To give your life, the front lines, those of our youth who are right now protecting the Maqam and Muqaddasat in Syria right now. Those right now who are protecting the government in Syria. Those right now who are fighting Daesh in Iraq right now. That's all the Husseini approach. We give our life, we shed our blood. And then there's the Zainabi approach. And the Zainabi approach is the approach of exposure, unmasking, opening up this idea of who the Zalimeen of the time are. Informing those who are not informed. Educating those who are ignorant. If that is a war of blood, this is a war of information. Called it Jangin Narni they have in the Hausa. A soft war. When you're not fighting with your hands, you're fighting with your intellect. You're fighting with information. You're fighting with your heads and your smartphones and social media. And you're out there actually discussing these things. You're out there on the streets peacefully chanting. These are all things. What Bibi Zainab did in the heart of Yazid's courtyard was look the man in the eye and in front of 700 of his closest associates, expose the man for what he was. Read her khutbah, my sisters. Read her khutbah. Incredible. She looks the man in the eye and says, inside of you, you are breeding shaitan's offspring. Allahu Akbar. This was a loose cannon. This guy would have shed her blood in a moment. Chop off her head right there on the spot. She had 700 men and their faces buried in their hands, crying, weeping like little children. Men chanting from the balconies of that masjid, saying, we have allowed the oppressors to be our leaders and the pious ones to be our captives. She sat there in the middle of that courtyard. Our approach in this part of the world is the Zainabi approach. No one's asking anybody here to shed your blood. No one's asking anybody here to take up arms. No one's asking anybody here. Respect the law of the land. At the same time, while you reside in the heart of the courtyard of Yazid, expose that courtyard for what it truly is. Speak out. Stand up. Get out there and attend. Don't be afraid. We live in this country. It's given you rights. Exercise those rights. Don't go above and beyond the law. We respect the law. If we take Imam Khomeini as a great leader, we take every aspect of his life as a hujjat for us. If there is this idea that in France, when it's Eid, and his father said, let's do zibah of an animal in the backyard, he says, no, in France it's illegal. He didn't do it. He could have said, look, put up some chadars, some partitions, let's go ahead and zibah this animal, it's Eid al-Qurban, it's sunnat, let's go and do it. No, he said, look, let's respect the law of the land. The same man who would hand out Christmas gifts to his neighbors in France is the same man that you and I should follow in this regard as well. We expose, we speak out, we rise up within the had and the mahdud of the law. This is the Zainabi approach. And we need to first understand that mission and then we move on. Because the musibat of Bibi Zainab during these days is incredible. I don't think we understand sometimes how difficult the mission of Bibi Zainab is. There was one scholar who had said that it was Bibi Zainab's eyes who saw more musibat than even Imam Hussein's eyes saw. This was the same Zainab that when Amir al-Mu'mineen would go on a journey, a trip with her or with Kulthum, return back to Kufa, he would wait for the sun to set to ask them to enter the city. So the chance of non-mahram eyes looking at her was not there. This was the same Zainab. The neighbor of Amir al-Mu'mineen would say, I've heard that Ali has daughters. I've never seen them before. That whenever she would go to Rasulullah for ziyarat, there would be an entire group around her, covering her. When Amir al-Mu'mineen was struck with the sword of Ibn Muljim, brought back to the house, they began to cry. Amir al-Mu'mineen very famously tells Imam Hassan, tell my companions, tell those who are the people of Kufa to please go back. I don't want their ears to listen to my Zainab's cry. Ya Ali, you're concerned about the cry of Zainab. In the same Kufa 20 years later, she'll be brought in as a prisoner. This was the same Zainab that when she left the 28th of Rajab from Medina, and the Qafla was getting ready for their journey to go towards Karbala, and one by one people were mounting the horse, a call came out to please lower your gaze. The daughter of Fatima is about to exit her house. Bibi Zainab comes out of her house. 5 to 6 Jawan and the Bani Hashim there to welcome her and mount her on the horse. On one side Ali Akbar, on one side Ona Muhammad, on one side Qasim, in front of her Abul Fazl, beside her Imam Hussein, all of them one by one mounting her onto the horse. 11th of Muharram, all of them are gone one by one. This Qafla now gets ready to go back towards Kufa and Sham. She mounts all the children and all the women on top of the horse one by one. Kulthum is left and Zainab is left. Zainab said, Kulthum, let me mount you on the horse. Kulthum says, no Zainab, let me mount you on the horse. Kulthum mounts her on the horse. Bibi Zainab is left there by herself. Looks to her left and looks to her right. But nowhere in our books do we see that she calls out for Ona Muhammad. Nowhere do we see that Zainab calls out for Hussein. Nowhere do we see that Zainab calls out for Ali Akbar. Instead, Zainab turns towards Furat and says, Abbas, Abbas, you are the one that told me, as long as I am here, Shahzadi, there is no concern. This is the musibah of Bibi Zainab. The same Bibi Zainab that when she was given nasihat by Amir al-Mu'mineen, that Zainab, this will happen to you, and that will happen to you. Be patient, be patient, be patient. Bibi Zainab says, Baba, I'll be patient. Baba, I'll be patient. But I have one question for you. That when all this happens, if ever I ask you for help, Baba, will you come and help me? Of course I will. Let's examine tonight where Bibi Zainab asked Imam Ali for help. 28th of Rajab, they left for Karbala. She didn't ask Baba for help. 2nd of Muharram, arrived in Karbala, didn't ask Ali for help. Ono Muhammad Shahadat did not ask Ali for help. Ali Akbar's Barshi did not ask Ali for help. Abul Fazl Abbas's arms did not ask Ali for help. Dil Zainabiyya did not ask Ali for help. Sham Ghariba didn't ask Ali for help. This Qafla went from Karbala to Kufa, Kufa to Sham, 7 doors to the court of Yazid. 6 doors she walked in. The 7th door opens. 700 men are lining up to see this tamasha. Bibi Zainab, the daughter of Ali, stops at that door and says, if anyone has a himmat, I will not enter this courtyard. Imam Sajjad says, Papi Amma, a little bit more patience. Walk with me into the courtyard. She says, Sajjad, I will not enter. From the Nokeneza, Hussein's lips begin to move. Zainab, Bhaiya, Hussein's with you. Enter the courtyard. She says, Bhaiya, you're asking me, I'll go. Just answer me one question. Which way is it to Najaf? Baba! Your Zainab is asking you for help. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين.